Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings and the Bias Plus reports. Today is March 6, 2024, and this is Ben and Barry on football.
Hello out there. This is Ben Dickerson. I am your co-host. We are almost into the new NFL year, which begins the 13th, right? March 13th, which is about a week away, week and a half away. There's a lot going on. Free agency, the draft is coming up, so we got plenty to talk about.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time looking at the combine. I watched it through Sunday when the big boys got out there. The O-line was getting out there doing their thing, man. It's nothing like seeing a 350-pound guy running like a sub five. It's 40. It's like,
Yeah, but that became a bit of an issue. Not the times, but guys pulling hammies. So,
guys pull some hammies.
yeah, so much so that I heard suggestions that maybe for the big guys, specifically O-line, I don't know about D-line. I don't think they had any casualties there. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't think they had any casualties there, but they're talking about maybe for the O-line cutting it down to a 20-yard sprint instead of a 40.
Interesting. 20-yard sprint. I mean, that's about what they sprint normally, unless, they're doing something extraordinary. But
Well, for
it
them,
was
it's a
that
sprint.
many? I didn't think it was that many, huh?
I saw two within a half an hour.
With the linemen on Sunday.
Yes.
Okay. Or maybe they just need to stretch better. What a
Come
concept.
on, man. Come on. What offensive lineman is going to run 40 yards?
Well, that's what I just said. They normally run around 20, right, at best. So that does actually fit their thing. But Kelce might run 40 on the swing.
What? Three times in a 20-year career, maybe? Come on. Come on.
But I did enjoy it. I enjoyed seeing the record set for the time. I'm sure you'll talk about that a little bit later. I liked when they opened up with the D-line guys. Those guys is athletes, man. Those guys are athletes. And then you see your running backs. It was interesting to see the juniors that were there, a la Jerry Rice Jr.
That was
Those type
interesting.
of guys that were there. Luke McCaffrey, besting his brother in the 40 by like 0.01 seconds or something like that. So, it was interesting. What did you think about Caleb Williams' appearance there?
His appearance, as far as,
Just being at the combine and talking to people, and he had a few
well,
interviews.
I mean, there were a few guys who, for whatever reason, felt like they weren't going to participate in the on-field stuff. Most of them are what I'm calling consensus first rounders. Everybody agrees pretty much that they're going to go somewhere in the first round, some of them really early. So they've decided to either save it for their pro day or not do any on-field stuff at all. Quarterbacks not doing any throwing at all,
Right.
or on field drills. But I think that it was important for him to get there and do his interviews with the different teams. I believe that they should all at least do that, whether they run or not.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty good. If we can, I had a long conversation with a couple of friends of mine in reference to him in particular, as far as how we felt about him, how good he is, should he be the number one pick overall, blah, blah, blah. It was pretty interesting, but we can table that for now because we got a lot to talk about.
Well, the number one thing we want to talk about, you're going to run over your top players and give us some ideas about what we should keep an eye out on. I'm going to talk a little bit about the quarterbacks, we'll talk a little bit about some of the free agents that are out there, and there's some, different levels of controversy or interest or, whatever, with the free agents that are out there. I did a little digging and looking at my line because there's a lot of questions about what the 49ers should do. I'm a Niner guy, you're a Giants guy. I know there's a lot of questions about what the Giants are going to do. So we can take a minute to kind of talk about that, and then we'll jump on over to our Facebook page, which there's some serious current events and things happening that we can, touch base on before we finish up. All right?
Sure, sure.
Man, oh man, the Chevets. This is a great time of year. It could only be better if there was actual games happening. That's the only way it could be better. So let's get ready to take a look. Ben, you're gonna give us your rundown, top players.
Yeah, so last week I promised that I would try to do I was going to try to do the top 5 players at each position coming into the draft. Because of time constraints, I don't want to bore anybody or take too long talking up the show. I kind of cut back a little bit, but I did hit every position, or all the main positions. Some I only had 2 people, some I only had 3, but I wanted to give some insight specifically on players at each position that I believe will be drafted high. This will go into my homework that determines what my mock draft is going to look like. I usually do 2 or 3 mock drafts before I put in my final one before the draft actually takes place. The draft is not until April 25th, so I have some time. But I did most of my preliminary work here, so I'm going to let you in on some of my preliminary work so you'll see where I'm coming from when I actually do the mocks. So last week we went over the quarterbacks and we went over the wide receivers. I don't want to go over the quarterbacks again, but I do want to say a couple of things that I found interesting after seeing the draft about 2 guys in particular. Number one, I may not have said it in a previous video of ours, but I know I said it to you personally, to some other people. I was in love with Michael Penix Jr., okay? Especially after Washington's run to the national championship, which they actually lost and Michigan won it. But I kind of let thoughts about him slide as I started to really look at Caleb Williams and Drake May and some of the other guys. But after the combine, I have fallen back in love with Michael Penix Jr., okay? He threw the ball extremely well at the combine, enough to catch my eye and several other eyes. In fact, several of the commentators used the phrase, the ball just jumps out of his hand. I must have heard that 20 times over the weekend. So that was important. Again, he looked really good doing it. And that little funky motion he has, throwing motion he has, the more I looked at it, it's really not that bad. It's more of a 3/4 motion. It's not over the top, but the ball does come out of his hand like a cannon, and he can make all the throws, especially the throws outside the numbers. So I was very impressed with that. The other guy that was impressive, but don't want people to get too crazy about it, and I have a funny feeling this guy's name is going to come up when you decide to talk about quarterbacks, and that is one Joe Milton out of Tennessee. Now, the guy's big. I did not mention him last week. He's 6'5", 235, which is more of your prototypical NFL quarterback size, which is great. He didn't run the 40. He did have a 35-inch vertical. He did have a 10-foot, 1-inch broad jump. He showed off his incredible arm strength at the combine, but his tape shows who he really is. I hope I'm not busting your bubble when I say this, but a lot of times when people talk about arm talent, they consider if a player can make all the throws, all the outside throws, the deep throws, the intermediate throws, and all that stuff. But as far as I'm concerned, when you talk about arm talent, it's not just how far you can throw it or how hard you can throw it, but it also has to do with timing, accuracy, and consistency, especially on your long ball. Milton has a lot of work to do on those kind of things. So that's something to take note of as we talk about the different quarterbacks coming out in the draft. I do not think that he did enough. Although some of the stuff he did was eye-popping, I don't think he did enough to project himself or propel himself, rather, up into the first round. It's my opinion. We did talk about the wide receivers. We know Marvin Harrison Jr. did not participate in any of the drills, didn't run, didn't lift, anything like
Was
that.
he there?
However, Rome, excuse me,
Was he there?
yes, he was there.
Okay.
I think he interviewed with several teams. I'm not sure the exact number, but I know he talked to a lot of teams. Oh, I did make a note of it. He met with 9 teams. So he did 9 interviews.
Great.
So, yeah, so he did handle that part. Yes.
Okay.
Um, I told you about some of the guys I really liked last week, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas out of LSU. But the guy that I really liked, did himself justice at the combine, was Rome Odunze. Odunze. I'm sorry, it's Odunze. I made sure I get it right this time. Rome Odunze out of Washington. He was already a consensus first rounder, I believe, but he still had a very standout combine performance. Especially, he showed really great hands on the during the on-field drills, and especially the drill that they call the gauntlet, where they catch a pass, turn around, catch another pass, and then they run down the line. Boom, 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 boom. He ran really straight. He hugged the line. He caught every ball very comfortably, showed off great hands, great acceleration at the end on the last one where you turn up field and run. He looked really good. So he did himself well. And also, Brian Thomas out of LSU. I said last week that he was a burner, but I didn't have an exact time on him. I heard people talk about 4.4, high 4.3s. This guy ran a 4.3340, and he's 6'4", 205. So he ain't no little guy, okay? He put on a real good show there as far as the speed is concerned. And again, a 40 from a guy that size opened up a lot of eyes. So he might have moved himself up a couple slots there in the first round for teams that are looking for wide receivers. A Mitchell.
Yes.
Adonai Mitchell.
There is a Mitchell there.
There is a Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell out of Texas. This kid showed off. 6'4", 196, ran a 4.34.
My cousin.
That ain't no joke.
He's my cousin.
For people who never ran track or don't know a whole lot about speed and running speed, if you can run a 4.4, you're really fast. If you're running in the 4.3s, you're flying. If you're running 4.2 something, you're freaking Superman, okay? So this guy's running a 4.34 at 6'4", which is really tall. Sometimes tall guys don't get out like that. So he looked really good out there. I think he moved himself up from a second-day player into the first round. In fact, word is, and I heard this from more than one source, it's possible he could possibly be the 4th or 5th wide receiver off the board, just off his combine alone. So that's extremely impressive. And then, of course, when we talk about impressive, we talk about Xavier Worthy. 5'11", 165, kid ran a 4.21, the fastest 40 in combine history. Unbelievable. 41-inch vertical, okay? He can dunk with ease. Just a 41-inch vertical, he can dunk with ease, like it's nothing.
NBA standard.
Yeah, so that was a record. Let's see. He probably was going to project around late second round. He had a tough season. I think 2 seasons ago, he broke his hand. And when he came back, he played basically through a rehab's broken hand and had some problems with dropping passes. But he played through it. His coaches and his teammates were proud of him, and he improved as the season went on. But that combine, especially that time, probably moved him up to an early second round and possible first round. So good for him. Now, let me shoot through these other guys real fast. Running backs. My number one guy, this is my number one guy. Jonathan Brooks out of Texas, 6 feet, 207, considered to be at least in the top 3 at the position this year by everybody else. I like him a lot. He tore his ACL in November, so he's coming back from that, so he wasn't able to do anything at the combine. Really good body control, good agility, pretty fast, has a second gear once he hits the secondary. Trey Benson, one of my favorite guys out of Florida State, 6'1", 223, ran a 4.39. Nice for a running back, real nice for a running back. 33.5-inch vertical, also very nice. One of my personal favorites, like I said, I watch Florida State a lot, or when they're on, if I can. Combination power back with speed. Very hard to tackle, very shaky kind of guy. Another guy who was rated pretty high, but also had a real nice combine, Jalen Wright out of Tennessee. Ran a 4.38 40, nice, fast, 38-inch vertical, had one of the best overall performances at the combine. He looked good in all the field drills, except for catching the ball, which he didn't do because he's coming off of a thumb injury. So he's kind of letting that heal up all the way. But he took the handoffs. He did the drills where they run over the bags and all that stuff. And he looked real good doing it. Blake Corum out of Michigan. Now, Michigan is the national champion. Blake Corum was the starting running back there. He's the little bowling ball dude. He's 5'8", 205. Looked real good on the field. At the combine, he wasn't great. Now, he ran a 4.53, which isn't super fast for a 40, but he has what I like to call football speed. Breaks tackles even for his size. Very physical runner with top end speed. And if I'm not mistaken, he bench pressed 225 27 times. 27 times. At my best, when I was young and I was lifting a lot, I did 225 like maybe 15 times at my best. So 27 bench presses. Some of the linemen don't do that many. So he's a strong little dude. Okay, let's move on to the tight ends. Without a doubt, the number one tight end coming out is Brock Bowers out of Georgia. Nobody will argue this. Nobody. 6'4", 240. Did not do the combine and doesn't plan on doing a pro day either. He's letting everybody know I ain't catching nothing, I ain't running nothing, I ain't doing nothing. And you're still going to pick me as the number one tight end off the board. That's how good I am. That's what Brock Bowers is telling everybody. And I believe him, okay? Compares extremely well with George Kittle. That's what everybody says. This is George Kittle all over again. As a receiver and as a blocker. Definitely the number one tight end in this class. Next guy I have is out of Texas. That's Jatavion Sanders. Pretty big dude, 6'4", 242. With that kind of size, he ran a 4.69 40. That ain't bad. That ain't bad at all. In his sophomore year, his numbers were only eclipsed. Listen to this now. 2022, which was his sophomore year, his total numbers, touchdowns, catches, yards, those numbers were only eclipsed by three people. Dalton Kincaid, who's a Buffalo Bill, Michael Mayer, who's a Las Vegas Raider, and Bowers, who's going to be the number one guy coming out. Other than those three, this kid is next, okay? So look out for him. I got one more guy that would be Brevin Spanford out of Minnesota. This dude's huge, man. 6'7", 260. Ran a 4.77 40. Whew, he's like having another offensive tackle on the field. Real good run blocker. How well he catches the ball could possibly be a little in question, but he's pretty agile. He played basketball in high school as a two-sport athlete. So they're saying he's pretty agile and athletic. Moving on, edge rushers. Number one edge rusher for me is Jared Verse out of Florida State. 6'4", 260. He looks sharp and very explosive in his on-field drills at the combine. He should be the first D lineman off the board. Next guy I have is Dallas Turner out of Alabama. Alabama turns out a lot of good D linemen. This guy's going to be a top-rated edge rusher. 6'4", 247, good size, ran a this guy's going to be a terror coming off the edge. Ran a 4.46 40. So he outran a lot of the running backs and outran some of the receivers too. 4.46 in the 40. 40 point. Yeah, 40.5. That's 40.5-inch vertical. 40.5-inch vertical. That's no joke, man. This kid can fly. Nice broad jump, 10 feet, 7 inches, fast, athletic, handled all the on-field drills with no problem. And here's the great thing. He's projected as an edge rusher, will probably be drafted as an edge rusher, but not necessarily. Depends on the team that drafts him, because in college, he actually played outside linebacker in the 3-4. Okay. So he could be an outside linebacker in the 3-4, but his primary job is pass rushing. So it depends on the scheme of the team that drafts him as to where he ends up. But he worked out with the linebackers. He did not work out with the defensive linemen. So he did all the linebacker drills and handled himself with no problem. Leatu Latu out of UCLA. That's my next guy. Another big size kid, 6'5", 265, ran a 4.64 40. Pretty good for a guy that size. Looked good on his on-field drills. Not quite as good as Verse and Turner, and he had a neck injury a couple of years ago. So, you know, teams look at injuries, and especially an injury like that, might drop him down a little bit, but he's still done enough good work on the field and on tape to probably go pretty high. The guy that showed off the most at the combine was Chop Robinson out of Penn State, 6'3", 250. Woo! You remember Chop Robinson, right? You see him run his 40? Ran a 4.48.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah. When he ran that 4.48, people was like, whoa! The word freak was getting thrown around quite a bit. Freakish athlete, very twitchy, which means fast twitch muscles, meaning quickness. He's not necessarily as polished as some of the other edge rushers as far as moves, you know, swim moves and hand placement and things like that. But he's a beast and he's fast. So that's a guy to look out for, Chop Robinson. And I'm sure he did himself well. You got something for me before I go on?
No, go ahead.
Okay, good. I'm rolling now. D tackles. Jershon Newton out of Illinois is my number one D tackle. Not a big, tall guy, 6'2", but he's 295. Depending on which team picks him up, he could be a D tackle, he could be a nose guard. He did not participate in on-field drills because of a foot injury. He's not real big, but his tape shows he's equally as good against the run and the pass. So he gets penetration inside, and he's good stopping the run. This guy, I think, is going to end up being a nose tackle somewhere. The next guy, Brandon Fisk out of Florida State. Again, another guy I really like out of Florida State, 6'5", 292. This is more of a true D tackle size. Not slow, 4.78 in the 40, which was the best time for the interior lineman, interior defensive line, 4.78. Excuse me. If a guy that size has a 33.5-inch vertical, that's pretty nice. He did 26 bench press reps. Now, just real fast, this guy's 6'5", 292. He benched 225 26 times. Blake Corum is 5'8", 205, and did it 27 times. Just to give you a little, you know what I'm saying? Blake Corum.
Context is.
I love that guy. Gotta love that guy. Okay, moving on. Linebackers. Everybody's going to know this name here in Philly. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. out of St. Joe Prep. Yeah. He went to Clemson. 6 feet tall, 230. He didn't run the 40 or do any of the jumps, but he did do some of the on-field drills, and he did 21 reps on the bench press. Again, 26 feet, 230, did 21. That's what I'm talking about. 225 ain't no joke, man. So he did 21 reps. He's got the bloodlines. Obviously, his father played for the Eagles, which gives him a great football IQ, and that IQ shows up on tape the way that he plays. So he's going to be going out high as far as the linebacker is concerned. Next guy's really good too. Peyton Wilson out of NC State, 6'4", 238. Real fast. Fastest of all the linebackers, 4.43. at 6'4", 238. How'd you like this guy tracking you down if you're running with the ball? In fact, he won the Dick Butkus Award as the best linebacker in college last season.
Wow.
Great combination of size and speed. One more guy here I got out of Michigan, again, the national champion, Michigan Wolverines, Junior Colson, 6'2", 238, ran a 4.58. He excels at coverage against running backs and tight ends. So he's going to be good there. Everybody's looking for a linebacker that can do that kind of thing. Some teams are lucky, like the Ravens and the 49ers, and they have linebackers that can do those kind of things. Let's move on to offensive linemen, specifically offensive tackles, because they're the big money makers on the offensive line. But sometimes these guys play tackle in college and they end up playing guard in the NFL. So we'll see how that works out. But the consensus number one guy off the board for the offensive tackles is going to be Joe Alt. He's out of Notre Dame, 6'9", 321. Woo! And ran a 5.05 That's actually fast. For a dude that big, you got to be kidding me, man. So he can move his feet. He's got long arms.
What position is he playing?
He's an offensive tackle.
Okay.
Offensive tackle. Depending on what team picks him, he'll be a left tackle or right tackle. If the team that picks him already has a good left tackle, he'll just move to the right. But I see him as a day one starter. With that size and experience he's got at Notre Dame, that shouldn't be a problem. Again, context, 6'9", 321. He benched 27 times. That's a lot, but you know what I'm saying. Besides slipping on some of his on-field drills, he did extremely well. His footwork looked good. Like I said, he's the consensus best offensive lineman in this class. The next guy is Olu Fashanu out of Penn State. Classic size again, 6'6", 319, ran a 5.11 in the 40. Good feet. He did tweak his thigh during some of the on-field drills, but he expects to be good in a couple of weeks when his pro day comes up, so he's probably going to work out for scouts again. He still projects as a first rounder for a team with offensive line needs, so he'll be going high. All right, I'm almost done here. It's time to talk about the DBs. Cornerback first. Cooper DeJean out of Iowa, 6'1", 207. He's rehabbing from a fractured fibula that he got back in November in a game. He may be ready to go on his pro day. Hopefully, he will be able to go on his pro day. But besides that, his tape shows that he deserves to be a number one pick for a team in the first round that needs help at corner. He's a very versatile athlete. He has the speed and the size to play corner, slot corner, and safety. And not to sound funny or nothing, okay, but he's white. The last starting corner in the NFL that was white is Jason Sehorn from the Giants back in the late 90s, early 2000s. This kid is good, man. This kid is really good. Like I said, 6'1", 207, so he can play safety, but he's got the speed to play corner, regular corner outside, or slot corner like a nickelback. So he's very versatile, very athletic. I can't wait to see this guy play. Matter of fact, I'm going to look out for his pro day so I can see him at least work out, see where he gets drafted. Next guy I got is probably the guy that most people like. That's Kool-Aid McKinstry. Kool-Aid McKinstry's from Alabama, 6'1", 195. He didn't do any drills at the combine because he had a fracture in his foot. He does plan to run and work out at his pro day, after which he's going to get his foot fixed. Now, this is the crazy thing. What they're saying is he has a Jones fracture. I didn't have time to look it up. I'm not exactly sure the specifics of a Jones fracture. But for whatever it is, he decided to give it a little extra rest, not work out at the combine, but he thinks he'll be able to work out through the injury at his pro day, and immediately following that, he's going to get it fixed, and he should be ready for training camp with whichever team picks him up. He's a shutdown corner, no doubt about it. He excels in man coverage, so everybody needs somebody like that. So look for Kool-Aid to go early to a team that needs a corner. And the next corner is Nate Wiggins out of Clemson, 6'2", 185. Okay, this kid ran 4.28 in the 40, almost as eye-popping as that 4.21 that Worthy ran. He's a corner, 6'2", 185, 4.28 40, 36-inch vertical, 10-foot, 7-inch broad jump, lightning fast, shut down athleticism, and legit ball skills. That means he's got hands. He can catch. A lot of DBs have a little trouble catching. Matter of fact, the joke is if you play corner or safety, it's because you couldn't play receiver because you can't catch. This kid can catch. He knows how to track balls. He knows how to go up and get 50-50 balls. He can catch. And last but not least, we have the safeties. My top safety is Cameron Kinchins. He's out of Miami, 6 feet, 205. Ran a 4.65 40. That's not real fast. That's usually what separates corners from safeties is speed. Size sometimes, but also speed. Corners usually are the smaller guys, smaller stature guys, but definitely the faster guys because they have to play the speed receivers on the outside, where the safeties are more ranging in the middle of the field, making tackles and covering deep downfield. So he runs a 4.65, which ain't slow, okay, but it's nowhere near the blazing speed that you need to be a top-notch receiver or corner out there, obviously. Very versatile athlete, great range in coverage. He can also play in the box. So he can play strong, he can play free. He should fit any team scheme because he can do both. Tyler Nubin is out of Minnesota, 6'2", 210, runs a 4.6 flat. He can play free and strong also, tackles really well, has great anticipation skills. If you only run a 4.6 40, you need good anticipation skills. Kalen Bullock out of USC, 6'1", 215. That's real good size for a safety. And this guy happens to be fast also. 4.48 in the 40. Great combo of speed, agility, and football IQ. And that's what I got for every position coming up in the draft. These are the top guys. These are the names that you will probably be hearing getting called in the first round of the draft.
Wow, that was amazing. That was amazing. Okie dokie. You know, again, when you see some of the size of these guys and some of the 40s that they're turning in, who was the one? He's a white guy and he had the real blonde, curly, flowy. He talked about his.
Oh yeah, he's
I think he's an offensive lineman.
I think he's an offensive line. Yeah, I believe he is. I think he was. Yeah,
and he had a pretty good 40 time. He was moving pretty good, and he's a pretty big guy. So yeah, okay. We'll take note and be ready to follow up on some of these guys, man, because again, when you're talking 4.28, you're in a pretty strong territory in terms of speed. And when you got size, with that speed, it's an absolutely amazing thing.
Oh yeah, that makes you special,
man. Watching it, I'll just run this down real quick for you. This is the fastest 40s for the combine that they had on record. I have 2, 4, 6, 8. So Worthy this year with a 4.21, right?
Right.
2017, it was John Ross with a 4.22. 2022 was Kalen Barnes with a 4.23. 2008, it was Chris Johnson with a 4.24. 2022, Enrique Woolen, 4.26, tied with DJ Turner, same year with a 4.26. And in 2014, Dree Archer also ran a 426, and then in 2005, Jerome Mathis also ran. So their last four, everybody was 426 tied. So your 428 was, like I said, this is only the top 8. He's probably right. He might have made the top 10 if I had gone down that far at 428, unless we had some ties at 427. But those were some of the fastest 40s combine time that I was able to track over the last few years. So the speed is absolutely amazing.
Now, here's the thing, okay? Everybody loves the fact that Xavier Worthy ran that 4.21, and he looked tremendous doing it. I'm really happy for him. And I was glad to hear that he was pretty highly rated already before he ran that, and it probably helped him move up a couple spots in the draft. That was good to hear. And I'll tell you why. Of all those guys you named, only Chris Johnson turned out to be a real star. CJ2K.
That's why I made this list, because I was waiting for you to say that.
None of those other guys broke 1,000 yards in their career, I don't think, or even had a season where they scored 10 or more touchdowns. None of them. So
I was actually trying to put together a list of wide receivers, because I know you'd have been all over those guys, but this is what came up in my time frame. So I said, well, let me just go with this for right now. But I know exactly what you're talking about. And a lot of these guys, well, first of all, health is an issue. They get hurt. That's the bottom line. They just keep getting hurt. So, but yeah, fastest 40s. I did have that list there. All right, Benny. What else do we have here? I wanted to talk a little bit about the quarterbacks, as I was impressed by them during the combine. And there was a few guys that I looked up. So I'm going to share some of these pages of couple of these guys. Now, first of all, let's go to your guy. Where is he? Here he is. This is the guy that you love, Michael Penix Jr. All right. So our guy that does the ratings for the NFL gave him a prospect grade of 6.25. So he's 6'2", 216. They say he has some of the biggest hands out there. He had a production score of 82, an athleticism score of 78, and a total score of 82. Lance Zierlein is the one I'm trying to talk to, and they're comparing him to Tua, of all people. First of all, they're saying he's 24 years old, so he's going to be an older rookie. Right? He ain't one of those 19-year-old rookies. He has a history of season-ending injuries. So
yes,
that's one of the things that has not been strong with him. They say the Huskies' offensive design helped declutter coverages, which allowed him to throw a higher number of intermediate and deep passes. He has smart pocket mobility and a willingness to get rid of the ball, which makes it difficult to sack him. Okay. Plenty of arm, needs to work for more consistent timing. He's a pocket passer who was ineffective in 2023 when defenses were able to crank up the heat and make him move his feet. Playing in a shotgun-based spread attack might give him his best chance to succeed. His strengths include possessing enormous hands, seeing the pressure coming, making the transition from his drop to his release, slides from pressure. Wrist flick sends it 50+ yards. A wrist flick sends it 50 yards. Can make drive throws. He's attacks the sideline fearlessly, and he was sacked just 31 times, over 1,759 dropbacks. Just 17 sacks. So he's getting rid of that ball for sure. Other than his injuries, he was 20 TDs, 9 INTs in his last 11 games. He forces receivers to break stride on a variety of throws. That's what they said. Throws with a wide open front side when the feet fail to follow his eyes, heavily reliant on receiving talent, to win jump balls and has some production consistencies plummets when forced to throw outside the pocket. So that's the breakdown on him. I saw him. I was very impressed with him also. And again, the maturity level was one of the things that kind of stood out. He just seemed mature, as I watched him do his thing. Now, so you said you hope you don't steal my thunder, and you did a little bit, but not much. Joe Milton III. I mean, 70 yards in the air, just out there. If he was your backup quarterback and you were in one of those Hail Mary situations, you'd probably take your starting quarterback and say, okay, you sit down, Joe, come on out here. We're on our own 20, Joe, so we got to get this thing downfield. He throw it all 80 yards for you. 6'5", 225, like you said, and another big hands guy, 35-inch vertical, didn't run in the 40. Rare physical specimen with proverbial arm talent to make all the NFL throws. Has a lack of timing and accuracy and touch. What if he was like our quarterback? Remember our quarterback with the Jaguars?
Yeah, Kenny.
Kenny, you throw that ball right through your hands. Ball 10 yards away, and that ball's coming at super velocity. So his footballs are often inaccurate and difficult to catch for moving targets. He was wildly inconsistent. He did overthrow at the combine too. I noticed he overthrew a few guys at the combine. But he can elude pressure, extends plays, and puts jaw-dropping highlights on tape. But he hasn't been able to mature his game from splashy to consistent. So basically, again, he stood out to me, and so that's why I come here to kind of say, okay, what's the pros and cons on this guy? I see the arm, he can throw with heat. The off platform, got to kind of see how that works out in the NFL. But they say he will stand his ground and take the hits when he's making the throws, able to keep his eyes downfield. And he has 32 TDs against only 5 INTs. So strong against sacks. His weakness, disturbing lack of placement. Just 38.6% of his throws were beyond 10 yards, according to PFF, Pro Football Focus. Struggles with anticipatory throws, running receivers into collisions. You hate that on crossing patterns and stuff like that. Telegraph throws between the hashes. Desires to throw the ball through the receivers rather than use a touch, and inconsistent tying his feet to his eyes, frequently forces moving targets to break stride. So, with that in mind, what are you thinking? Third round? Something like that for him?
Maybe
Third round?
Maybe. He would have to go to a team that has a starting quarterback already in place that they're happy with, and they think he can. You know where he'd be good at? Baltimore.
Oh man.
Backing up Lamar.
Okay. Lamar.
Where he's got time to learn, time to fine tune, reading defenses, and getting some touch on his ball. But that's going to take a lot of work. This guy's been through high school and a whole college career and has no touch. He can throw the ball a country mile, but he can't hit the side of the barn. That's not good.
He didn't have a lot of touchdowns, and his INT.
That's not a lot of touchdowns in college. Look at them other quarterbacks' touchdown numbers.
So you don't think he had a lot compared? I was thinking more in comparison to his INTs. He had a good rate.
Oh no, that was fine.
Yeah, that's what.
But it also said he only completed 30-something% over 10 yards,
which is hilarious considering he has a strong arm. But like they say, he tends to throw through the receiver as opposed to the receiver.
Oh, he's throwing it over their heads and throwing it out of bounds.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
But I think he helped himself at the combine, though.
Well, he showed off his arm. and he shows that he has great physical skills, but he's going to have to learn how to be an NFL quarterback. And that doesn't mean somebody's going to be intrigued, no doubt about it. And they're going to take him. And hopefully he goes to the right team and gets the right coaching, and maybe he can turn himself into something.
Well, worked for who was the quarterback that went to the Titans and came in last year with the super strong arm?
Will Levis?
Will Levis, yeah.
Levis was better than him.
Oh, really? Okay.
Coming out, yeah. Now he hasn't gotten much better than he was, but that still remains to be seen.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. I wanted to kind of just talk a little bit about what's going on in the free agent market. Oh, when we were talking about quarterbacks, Benny, I wanted to make mention. Now, the consensus, as you said before, the consensus first round pick seems to be Caleb Williams.
Yes.
Here's Caleb's information. 6'1", 214. He has a 98 production score, 89 athleticism, total score of 96. Now, the one thing that they said here in his strengths right off the bat is that apparently he was always under pressure to score. He was forced to keep his team in games with high-end production and did so. Now, it seems that's probably the one thing that popped everybody's eyes and put him as the number one player. Do you think so?
He's a playmaker. I said that when I talked about him last week. The guy's a playmaker. He does make those off-platform throws. He does bail his offense out with miraculous plays. There's no doubt about that. USC wasn't the greatest college team last year, but they won their share of games mostly because of his leadership on that offense.
The weaknesses that they bring up here: adverse to playing throw and catch football on schedule. Eyes can become sticky and sluggish working through his progressions. Must learn to throw with better anticipation and timing at the NFL level. The hero ball mentality creates indecisiveness and inconsistent decision-making. Disconcerting deep ball accuracy and quarterback-friendly offense. Will throw on the move unnecessarily rather than platform up, and passes up easy scramble yardage for more challenging throws. Did you see that?
That's not good stuff. If you look at his tape, you'll see it. You're not going to see it at the combine. Well, he didn't even run at the combine.
Right, he didn't even run at the combine.
If he does a pro day, you won't see stuff like that. You can only see that stuff on tape. That guy, Lance Zierlein, he's great. He does a tremendous job. This guy's entire life is looking at film. He's got, I don't care how good a player is before he comes out. If you look at Lance Zierlein, he finds something wrong with them. Every single person. There's nobody that doesn't have weaknesses, and some of them that he points out sound really alarming. For this guy to be praised by your everyday person you see on television, and then you go back and read those weaknesses, you're like, that doesn't sound so great. You know what I mean? He ripped CJ Stroud apart last year. So he's super critical, and not to say he's wrong, because he's not wrong, but nobody's perfect.
Well, you got everything has positives and negatives, so I'm looking for that.
Sure, absolutely.
You want to know that, because you need to know what you got to work with.
But some things are more alarming than others, especially if you look at the tape yourself and you're trying to get an assessment for yourself after reading what he says about it. When you see it, then you can kind of see for yourself, how bad is it? You know, how bad does it look? There's no doubt there's way more good than bad with Caleb Williams. My problem with Caleb Williams is some things I've heard people say about him being really arrogant and kind of getting on his teammates' nerves. You just read something about hero ball and making difficult throws when he could scramble out of trouble. Okay, those kind of things are not good things.
Well,
They're not good things.
that is as compared, Benny, to one Jaden Daniels.
Yes.
Now, when I looked at Jaden Daniels' information, 6'4", 210. They think he's a little slender, but he has a 97 production score, 89 athleticism, and a 92 total. Okay. 5 seasons of starting experience. So, right there, I'm with you. Okay. Rare blend of playmaking talent and command from the pocket. It's one thing to get a running quarterback and try to teach him to work in the pocket. It's another thing to have a pocket quarterback with athleticism that you can get run at the opportune time. There's a question about his durability. However, teams must recognize that he has no issue sitting in the pocket and working through progressions as a platform thrower of good mechanics and footwork.
That's the kind of stuff you want to hear. That's the kind of stuff you want to hear.
Possesses the football intelligence to get himself protected and take care of the football with quality decision making. This is one of the things that is making me look at him more so than
Caleb.
An accurate passer over the first 2 levels and throws with anticipation to slice and dice zone coverages. Okay. Noticeable issues putting deep balls on faster receivers in stride. He lacks ideal size and arm talent. I don't know about that. I think he's got pretty good ideal size.
I thought he threw really well.
He's much more capable as a runner and passer than most of the quarterbacks.
That's right. He didn't throw.
Who have moved on to the next level lately and has positioned and become a very good NFL starter in a spread-based passing attack. So his game is marked by command of the field and football intelligence. He has good pre-snap reads, comes up with a good plan to counter his reads, gets everyone on the same page, full field reader, willing to plant his flag and attack defenses from the pocket, maintains passing platform when sliding around the pocket. Footwork as a passer is a priority. He's an anticipatory thrower, has some running talent, has the speed to keep the defense honest with zone read concepts. Now, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 strengths versus what? 6 weaknesses? Slender frame, talked about that. Lack
That's no problem.
zip creates danger for him outside the numbers. Will drop his eyes in the pocket to scan for exits. That can be coached. Below average push and placement on deep throws. We'll see how that goes. Substantially more accurate on rollouts and as a scrambling passer. Okay. And has a tendency to fall off of fade throws, leaving them short. Again, sounds like coaching issues. I'm beginning then to like Jaden Daniels more than Caleb Williams.
And a lot of other people are, and I agree. I agree.
Do you really?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. As each day goes by, I'm telling you, I haven't heard any alarming bad things about Jaden Daniels, but I'm hearing little things about Caleb Williams. Tell you somebody else I haven't heard anything bad about, Drake May.
Okay.
So as I get ready to do my mock drafts, I'm going to try to put my GM hat on and put myself in each team and see who I think they're going to like. For some reason, I think the Patriots are going to like Drake May. For some reason, I think, well, I don't know what to think about the Bears, okay? I'm not even going to try. I cannot figure out what the Bears are doing. They're messing up right now. They got to make a decision. They have to make a decision. This is ridiculous. If you're going to let Fields go, let him go. Trade him. Do something. The longer they wait, the less people are going to be interested in taking him on. Now, I think he's still got some value with some teams. Shoot, if the Giants traded for him, I'd be happy.
Okay.
I'll take Justin Fields. So it's not like there won't still be suitors, But I think the longer they go, people are going to start going, yeah, you know what? Maybe we'll wait for the draft. You know, uh, teams was looking at Baker Mayfield, but I heard today if he hasn't signed back with the Bucs yet, they're in the middle of negotiations right now. They're pushing hard to keep him. So every day goes by, they don't do something with him, the landscape changes.
You know, and I think that he had enough of a good year last year, and now he thinks he's quite the shit. You don't mind.
Who?
Baker.
Caleb Williams?
Baker.
Oh, Baker Mayfield?
Yeah.
As he should.
Okay. All right. I'm not a big Baker guy, so you know.
You ain't got to be a big
Yeah,
Baker
good.
guy. Did they win the division?
Yeah. Hey, look, he won the division. He's on a good
Did he go to
team.
the playoffs?
He did very good. You
He
know,
did what he was supposed to
he
do.
knew he was smart enough to throw to Mike Evans. You know,
And they re-signed Mike Evans.
and they
So why would
re-signed
he want
Mike
to go
Evans.
anywhere?
You know,
There you go.
but I don't
Right.
know you know, if he's going someplace else and leading that team to the promised land.
Neither does he. That's why he's trying to resign.
Yeah, but you know, he's
He ain't
acting like
stupid.
he's acting like, yeah, you come get me, you know, I'm the man. I don't know. So
No,
anywho,
he's not. He's trying to stay with the Bucs. He ain't trying to go nowhere.
I didn't say he was trying to go somewhere. I'm just saying the way from what I'm hearing about him, this is all I'm saying. This is the attitude that he seems to project, which, like you said, he played well last year. He probably should have that attitude. You know what I mean? So speaking of, and the reason that I brought him up, Benny, is because I wanted to kind of just touch base on the NFL free agents that are out there. So we are at PFF, our spot, Benny, and looking at some of the free agents that are out there. Now we know coming right off, you got Chris Jones. You think he's going to get signed by Kansas City? They're going to find the money for him?
Yeah, I'm
All
pretty
right.
sure he'll stay.
Kirk Cousins, Benny. I mean, if there's one quarterback in free agency, excuse me, if you were saying, you know, rank him from top to bottom, he's coming in number 2 overall as a free agent. That puts him ahead of all other quarterbacks. So your boy Kirk Cousins, but will he stay in Minnesota? That is the question. So,
Well, I feel like the only teams that would be willing to try to get their hands on Kirk Cousins would be teams that are a quarterback away. Okay. Teams that are pretty much stacked, pretty much ready to make deep playoff runs, but they have a questionable quarterback. A team that he could do really well for with a lot of young talent, not necessarily propel them right to a Super Bowl, but make them contenders where they haven't been, is the Atlanta Falcons.
that's a
They're
thought.
loaded. They're loaded with young talent on their offense.
Yeah.
They're three or four of their top players are still on their rookie deals.
And he goes from one covered stadium, one dome to another dome, right?
That's right. From cold place that's domed to a hot place that's domed.
It's dome.
But if I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm trying to re-sign with Minnesota. I'm going to try to work something out with them because why the heck would I want to leave Justin Jefferson
Well, you got a point there.
and Jordan Addison?
Much less.
Big pickup for a number 2 guy.
Much less. The name Josh Allen pops up, but we're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars, Josh Allen, who plays defense and gives Josh Allen some fits when they play. Yeah, Josh Allen tackling Josh Allen.
Yeah, right.
So he's going to be a free agent. They're talking about T. Higgins from the Bengals.
Question.
T. Higgins was going to get re-signed by the Bengals.
So wait. Josh Allen, they did not tag Josh Allen, right?
According to this, he's still a free agent.
That was just okay. That means they didn't tag him. Okay, that's cool. Wow.
On this list. Now, I think There might be one or two people on this list that just got signed.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say I'm 100% with that, but we can take a look at it.
Yeah, no. But if they're on the, I know I have a list that was, I think it was updated today. It was updated yesterday. So he's still on my list also. So I would have to believe that, in fact, they did not tag him. He is an unrestricted free agent, but that doesn't mean he can't re-sign with them.
Right.
Um, yeah, right. So we'll see. But he's a top-notch outside linebacker, no doubt about it. If they're smart, they'll try to keep him. But if he gets away, he's going to help somebody a lot.
Absolutely. T. Higgins on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You need a guy like T. Higgins, man.
6'5" receiver.
Yeah.
6'5" with speed.
Even
End zone
Jerry
threat.
Rice had to have somebody on the other side help, taking up
End zone
for
threat.
that.
Well,
So
T. Higgins would probably be a number one on at least half the teams in the league. He's a number two because he plays with Jamar Chase.
right.
So he's going to help somebody.
I'm just gonna do a couple more. Brian Burns with the Panthers. Um,
Top edge rusher.
another edge rusher. You mentioned one of the guys who was edge rusher, but he said he was practicing or he was at the combine as a linebacker.
He did all the linebacker drills. He ran with all the linebackers. Yes.
From what I understand, and the what's his name with the Cowboys? The
Yes. Yeah. He projects to be a guy like that.
well, from what I understand, when they were looking at categorizing him, especially relative to contracts, linebackers ain't making the same money that DNs are making.
No.
So I don't think he was too happy to be
No.
designated.
Edge rushers are far more valuable in the NFL GM's eyes than linebackers. Yes.
Yeah,
That's just like these running backs who can't catch the ball. They get looked at a tier lower than the guys that can catch the ball.
they say here Justin Matabuke with the Ravens
Mm-hmm.
has a strong case to earn himself the most money in 2023 at half a sack and 13 of 17 games, more than double this prior season. So he's potentially a free agent. They're comparing him to Javon Hargrave. Christian Wilkins for
Yep.
Miami, Antoine Winfield Jr. for Tampa Bay. I'll finish up with the 10 here. Jalen Johnson from Chicago. And number 10, L'Jarius Sneed with the Chiefs. Sticky in coverage. Gets in the
Yeah.
receiver's hip pockets.
Snead's probably the number one corner. Winfield's the number one safety. So teams that need help in their secondaries, those guys are going to be hot commodities. They're looking to make themselves a nice chunk of change.
Absolutely. All right, Benny. We are going to move to our Facebook page, talk about a few current events and hot topics, and then that will be a wrap. All right, here we are at Ben and Barry on Football on Facebook. A couple things I want to mention. Number one, this is Women's History Month. So we have a link on here talking about the 15 women who are changing the NFL game. A couple of these names we followed already, but for people, who want to come and take a look, I thought it was some interesting reading in here where we had everybody from coaches to, executives in the NFL who are women. Is, just the whole I'm going to say playing field has changed, and now they're becoming a big part of the sport. Well, Jason Kelce retired from the Eagles. According to this article, their podcast could be in line for a $100 million deal. So he's going to be smiling all the way to the bank.
Let me tell you something, man. Him and his brother have struck freaking gold, man. First of all, both of them are so funny and so entertaining and play off each other so well. It's perfection. Their podcast was already at the top of some of these podcasts that these athletes have out here right now. People love them. They love his brother because he's a funny dude. He's pretty hip. He's a really good player. He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer, and he goes with Taylor Swift. They love Jason because he's from Philly, not from Philly, but he played for Philly. He's a hard-nosed guy, fun guy. He drinks a lot of beer. He knows how to have a good time. He's like the everyman, as they call
In
it. You know what I
addition
mean?
to being a great center.
And in addition to being a great center and probably a Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Fame center, because there's not a whole lot of centers in the NFL. So I see him being a first ballot without a doubt.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. Benny, you said they struck gold.
Yeah, that's part of it right there.
Is in talks now for Taylor Swift to play Super
Of
Bowl
course they are.
9
Of course.
for $1 billion. $1 billion.
This is what's funny. This is what's funny. I can't believe, and if I'm wrong, I hope somebody tells me I'm wrong. I never heard of the NFL even attempting to get Taylor Swift to do a Super Bowl halftime. I can't believe they hadn't, even before she started going out with Kelce. But now, just being in the booth, up in the suite, they realize how big she is. They didn't realize how big she was. Now they do. If she does next year's Super Bowl and the Chiefs are in it, they're going to break records. They're going to break records.
Now, from what I understand, they don't normally pay the halftime performers. Like, I don't think they paid Usher. I think these guys.
Whoa.
Yeah,
What?
these guys are. Yeah, it's something about them the way they negotiate with these guys, and they basically, I don't know if they're like, look, you do the halftime, all the promotional value is going to be worth it for you or whatever.
Well, yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, yeah. So, Taylor Swift, $1 billion. It's really funny. I saw a meme, and they had Travis Kelce's previous girlfriends. And these sisters are stacked, okay?
Bro. That last one.
So they showed
no
Taylor
words.
Swift, and then she got kind of a little flat back thing going on there, and they were trying to make fun of her. And I said, yeah, but when she puts her wallet in her back pocket, shebang!
That beats any other BBL out there.
You know what I'm saying? Shebang! So yeah, Taylor Swift is going to be. It's going
You got a BWL.
And don't let
Brazilian wallet lift.
So Biden might win just because of all the Swifties out there. So she's got some pull on a number of different levels.
Oh yeah, she's huge, no doubt.
All right, so
I'm not a Swiftie, but you can't deny that the woman is huge.
Now this guy is talking about how Caleb Williams, because of a clause in his contract, where apparently he took on the an NIL or whatever for the team that supplies their uniform.
And they're with Under Armour.
It's not the team that the NFL uses. So he might have a contractual conflict out there wearing another team's or another company's. Hey, that's what the guy's saying. So I'm just putting it out.
But have you heard anybody else say it?
No, I haven't.
Do you know
But
who this guy is?
no, I don't.
Okay. That tells you all you need to know.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to look into it a little bit more because I do know that Caleb Williams has $10 million in NIL money, one of the highest NIL athletes out there. So all of his contracts, I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me to see that there might be a conflict there. So we'll keep an eye on that. Just putting it out there. Follow
All
this
these
guy up.
guys in the NFL have shoe deals. The uniform deal is for USC. So he can wear Under Armour cleats. He has to wear a Nike uniform because Nike supplies the entire league. I don't think it's going to be an issue.
Well,
Matter of fact, if it was that big a deal, you'd hear more people talking about it.
I don't think it's Nike that's supplying all of the NFL, at least according to this guy. So, all right, we'll follow that up.
Look at a picture of an NFL team. Any team, they all wear Nike
Okay.
jerseys and pants.
One of the lesser known linebackers who were part of the Steel Curtain. We lost Andy Russell, two-time Super Bowl champ, a star-studded trio of linebackers. So what would that be? Me and Joe Green and that group there?
Yeah, he played with the Steel Curtain.
Yeah, played with the Steel Curtain. So rest in peace. All right. Well, Benny, we talked about the NFLPA report cards last week. We got a link out on our Facebook page for that. So everybody can take a look and check out the report cards. Oh, yeah, there was one other thing that I wanted to mention. Excuse me. This had to do more with my team, my Niners. And I think I had mentioned to you that I didn't think we had a great line, right? And if there's one thing that I think we can go get to really improve the play of the team and really help Purdy out, would be to improve the line. So I took a look, Madden, right, just to get an idea about how these guys stack up. So as you know, Trent Williams is it. You know, he's rated 98 in Madden. So he has all of the attributes. You know, he's at the top of the game. The other 5 interior linemen. Now we're looking at Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, Spencer Burford, Colton McKivitz, left guard, center, right guard, right tackle. Okay.
Right.
When you average their Madden ratings together, it averages 71.5.
Okay.
So you got one guy who's ranked 98, and all the other guys are in the low 70s to upper 60s in terms of their ranking. So that just gives you an idea about where the offensive line for the Niners could be improved when you're looking at not even 80s and on the rest of the other line. If you can get a couple guys in the 80s over there helping out right guard, you know, right tackle, left guard, or even center. And I think actually Brendel's not that bad. Maybe next year he'll have a better rating. But I really think we can improve the team if we focus there. So that's kind of what I just wanted to just throw that out there as a way to take a look. Everybody knows that we gave up the Super Bowl. We had line problems, missed assignments, things of that nature that really affected our play. So that's my take on it. I saw this, you know, early on, and you know, but and with that, we still got to the Super Bowl. So I want to give them their just due because they played as a unit. They played well enough to get to the Super Bowl. But I think we can improve our line.
I can't, I'm sorry, man. I can't believe you took time out in this show to do a referendum on your freaking offensive line. An offensive line that blocked for Christian McCaffrey and he gained over 1,400 yards. And you're talking about we could get better. Who can't get better?
We can get better.
Who can't get better?
I don't know. I ain't talking about nobody else. I'm talking about the Niners. and get better at that area, that unit, that particular unit can get better. Man, can you imagine what Christian McCaffrey might have with a better offensive
I
line?
don't have time to imagine. I'm still trying to figure out who's going to run the ball for my team.
Oh my God! Now, do you
I
want
ain't
to
got time for that.
mention anything
Come on,
about your
man.
Giants?
You're belly aching. No, why would I?
I
I'm not
don't
going to
know.
waste your time. I'm not going to waste your
Hey, I'm
time.
interested to hear
You're
what
here
you have to
belly
say.
aching about a team that just pissed away the Super Bowl. It's
And
nobody's fault
how do we
but your
piss it
own.
away? How do we piss?
Nobody's fault but your own. Okay, and you're
What do you mean
complaining
your own? Who's
about
on?
your offensive line.
Me?
Your
What are you
team's
complaining
own.
about?
You're complaining.
No, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying we could get better. We could be better.
What team could not be better? What
Uh,
team? Who's got the best offensive
I'm
line in the
talking
league?
about where specifically we can be strategically or tactically improved within a group. Okay. That's not to
And
say
who?
we can't get maybe another D back or a better run. Matter of fact, they're talking about putting what's his name? Bosa's brother on the other side. You gotta watch out. Have two Bosas rushing at you. That would be bad either. But I would like to see
He's
it.
almost done. He's only got a couple years left in him.
Hey, we only got a couple more years
Yeah, your window's closing. That's
yeah.
right. If you want to complain about something, complain about that. You can't keep making these monumental runs and getting the Super Bowls and losing games you're supposed to win.
I
Can't keep
agree.
doing that.
I agree.
And what has nothing to do with your offensive line.
Oh, yes, it does. I disagree.
No, it does not.
We disagree on that one. What do
No,
you
it does
think?
not,
You said we pissed it away. How do we piss it away?
bro. I'm not going to sit here and talk about the
All right, there
49ers.
you go. There you go.
I'm not here for
I
that.
gave you my
If you
take.
want to do a show on the 49ers, I'll do my prep and I'll be ready for you.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Well, maybe we'll do that. But we'll have to do
You
both.
don't want to do that.
And the Giants, though. We'll do both.
Why?
Huh?
My team stinks. My team stinks. Why would anybody care to watch a show about the New York Giants?
It's football, and your team could make some moves that could take it to the next
Bro,
level.
we got a long way to go. I do expect to be improved this year. It starts with the draft. We'll have to make some free agent moves. I have some suggestions, but I'm not going to waste everybody's time talking about that right now.
Well, not right
Okay?
now, but I would
After
like to
the
hear.
draft, I'll assess our draft and see if we're going in the right direction. I have no problem with that.
Okay.
But I'm not going to complain about losing the Super Bowl because one guy missed an assignment and you missed a touchdown pass that would have won the game. Get out of here with that mess.
What can I tell you?
Should have won it in
Quest for
regulation.
6. You got to get
Should have
better.
won it in regulation.
Got it in better. Okay. That's all I got, Benny. You got anything else?
No, sir, I'm all done.
Peace out.
Maybe y'all.